The sound is on here. It's 3:56 a.m. here in the Eastern time zone of the United States. This second day of May 2023. Today we pick up in chapter 9 of the book of Genesis. Yesterday we left off with God telling Noah and every beast of the earth that he would no longer uh, destroy them in a way that he did with the flood. And now we pick up in verse 9, and God starts to, you see God's blessing upon Noah, and you see some instructions laid out for the way that mankind is supposed to pick it up from here. So I'm going to read from the New King James Version. I also have the New International Version, the New Living Translation, and the Amplified pulled up because there's just parts of each that I think go well with this, and so I may bounce back and forth between a couple. Starting in verse 1 of chapter 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth and every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth and all the fish of the sea. They're given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning from the hand of every beast. I will require it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of every man's brother, I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply in it." So a few things just going through the passage. First of all, it's I always like to highlight everywhere where it says God blessed or God said or God created or God made. And in this passage, you see that God blessed Noah and his sons. And he said to all of them, "Be fruitful and multiply." So he's saying to Noah, who's 601 years old at this point, to go be fruitful and multiply. So apparently Noah had more children than just these three sons. And certainly his sons had a bunch of children, as we all can trace our lineage back to that boat. So no matter what you look like, no matter how tall, how short, how skinny, how fat, how much gray hair or lack of hair or brown hair or red hair or black hair, or what your melanin is, or what your eye color is, or what country you are from, we're all from the same family. We're all image bearers of God, which is going to play at the end of this reading as well. And he made it clear to Noah, and he should make it clear to us, that God gave us title and dominion over the animals, the beasts, the birds, the fish. There's responsibility with that, but mankind is here, and all that other stuff is here. And certainly in today's world, we have people who flip it upside down and do stuff that is insane, because there are places where we put people in danger just to cater to an animal. And that is clearly not the way that God laid it out. All the way back in Genesis 9, God makes it clear that it's supposed to be the other way around, that people are more important. Doesn't mean that animals aren't important. Doesn't mean that birds aren't important, fish aren't important. We love our pets, not the same way as I love my wife, and certainly not the same way as I love God, but they're part of our family in a way, and we do everything we can to take care of them the best that we can. And that is part of stewarding over this stuff that we're supposed to do. But we're not supposed to put ourselves below that. The next thing is that this is where mankind went from being a vegetarian to being able to eat meat. And apparently at this time, all meat from all types of animals, fish, birds, was available, because it says in every translation, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And it says that that God has given them even as the herbs. So what he's saying is, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, God had given them everything that grew on the earth to eat, the fruit, the vegetables, that kind of stuff to eat. But there was no eating meat at that time. But at this time, this is where that flips, and God extends the meat to us as well. So if you want to be a vegetarian, that's okay. I've tried that for a little while. I like meat. I do both. But I'll have vegetarian meals every now and then. But we clearly are able to eat meat. So there's nothing ungodly about it. There's nothing unhealthy about it. The caveat that he throws in here is that you're not supposed to eat it with its lifeblood still in it. We're not supposed to be like a beast and go out and kill something and rip its leg off and just start gnashing on it. Then we are supposed to prepare our food. We're supposed to, if you go to a place where they process any kind of animal, cows, chickens, whatever, they drain the blood out in that process. And then there's preparation and there's cooking. That's what this is pointing to, that we're not supposed to be like the wild beasts and just go kill something and eat it raw. Then we come into this section that is probably my last part that I want to focus on, besides God himself, is that he makes it clear, starting in verse 4, that man is precious. Man is precious to him, mankind, because he created us in his image, and that we're not supposed to kill, and that there's a reckoning for killing. And that killing is in some translations is murder. It's taking of another innocent life. That covers a lot of things. And here's what I would love you to take some time and think about. From conception to our death, that God has decided on what day we die in this flesh suit, that's God's right, not our right. So when it says don't take innocent blood, that covers everything in between, which means that abortion is covered by this, which means that murder is certainly covered by this. Euthanasia is covered by this. Suicide is covered by this. We are not to take innocent life, and there will be a reckoning for that. And here in the different translations, it says, whoever sheds a man's blood, in this one, whoever sheds a man's blood, by man his blood will be shed. And I really like the way that the Amplified translation has this, because it really it really shows more of what God was talking about. He wasn't saying that we should be vigilantes, and if we see somebody or we know somebody killed somebody or did something like this, that we're supposed to take that in our own hands. There are guidelines that are going to be set up for this, but in the Amplified translation it says so starting in verse 5 and going through 6, for your lifeblood I will most certainly require an accounting. From every animal that kills a person, I'll require it. From every man's brother, that is anyone who murders, I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood unlawfully by man, in parentheses here has judicial government, shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God he was made. In other words, it's not just something that we would decide we want to do. There's a structure to making somebody pay for what they've done, so to speak. The thing that I want to talk about, besides the murder, besides the taking of innocent life, besides the fact that we can now, as of the time of Noah, eat meat, is to pick up where I left off yesterday on talking about God and and what we think about God. I said that it's Pray May, and our church is doing a series all month about prayer, and we're doing some different things on Wednesdays and getting together and praying. We're having our first one this Wednesday. I did finally see that the message from this past Sunday that I got to see in person is loaded in. So here, you'll see a new link that actually goes directly to it. And I wanted to show you kind of what this is going to look like. So I'll share this real quick and then I'll unshare it. So what you see on your screen this is John Reeves, lead pastor of Radius in Lexington. And that's actually what he was wearing on Sunday. So that's how I know they have it loaded up. And I did watch a little bit of it just to make sure. It's a great message, and it really is something that I think that we all need to take heed in thinking about God and making sure that we're keeping his name holy. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, but today my challenge again is to read through the Bible, to listen to something. If you're kind of ADD, ADHD, and reading is not your gig, you can put a YouVersion app on your phone and get lots of different translations. Be on Wi-Fi, download some translations to your phone, and download one that you can kind of understand. But as you listen, as you read, just take some time to think about God as who and what he is, that he is 100% totally holy, totally powerful, totally just, that he made us in his image, but we are not little gods. We don't control ultimately our own destiny. We totally control how we react to things in our lives and how we love, but our destiny is in God's hands. Our life is in God's hands. And today I just challenge you to take time and think about that as you spend a little time talking to God and telling him you remember just how holy he is and how holy his name is, regardless of how busy we get sometimes and how we don't really keep that top of mind. But just take some time to think about that. God, we really don't even have the right to talk to you by anything that we do. It's amazing to think about the fact that you created everything with just a word, and that you made us in your image. Even though there are so many different versions of that image in us and some differences that we have, we are at the core made by you and the same. Not as you, but as each other. God, we just thank you. We're sorry for anything that we do or even think that's out of bounds of the best for us that you've laid out. We thank you for giving us life and for the blessing of each day and the guidance that you give us each day, even on those days where we don't necessarily listen to it like we should. God, thank you for hearing us. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Everybody have an amazing day, and we will pick back up in verse 8 tomorrow.